say, look, people get into real estate for two reasons: freedom and money. Okay, they take advantage of the freedom and then they get out of real estate because they didn't make the money. Well, we get on the phone, right? For us, the telephone is the fastest way to connect with the most amount of people, right? So we're talking to people for 2 hours. That's what you do when you're digging for gold. You get dirty.
What's up, everybody? It's Joe Herrera coming to you live, as always, from fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada. And joining me also in fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada is a friend of ours, Julie Youngblood. Julie, thanks so much for hopping on with me.
Absolutely. I'm super excited to be here.
Okay, so give me the wiki page, the Wikipedia, like the Julie Youngblood. Somebody's going to Google you, and there'll be this entire portfolio of all of your accolades and everything you've accomplished. Like, give me the 30-second of who Julie Youngblood is in a nutshell.
So don't Google me. No, I'm kidding. So Julie Youngblood, born and raised in Las Vegas. I went to real estate school when I was 17. It's literally all I've ever done. I'm on year 24 now. And I've kind of run the gambit. I've been a solo agent. I started on a team. I run a team. And I've spent the last 15 years coaching and consulting and digging deep with top teams and productivity rhythms and working with agents. And I mean, that's kind of my passion zone, is getting team owners and agents on those teams into productivity. I think real estate is such an awesome business. If we get our minds wrapped around it the right way, you can really take this thing and do anything you want. And so that's who I am and that's what I do. I'm not sure that was 30 seconds or in a nutshell.
Well, let's talk about these two things really quick. What high school did you go to?
Oh, are you from here? Because that is the born and raised.
I went to Bonanza. Yeah.
I went to Chaparral.
Okay. So you probably graduated in 98?
99.
99. Okay. So you're 2 years younger than me, but we must have gone to real estate school at the same time, because I went on a mission for 2 years. And when I came home, I was 21. I went to real estate school. So maybe not, but did you go to the real estate school in Nevada on Herrera?
No, I went to Money World School of Real Estate on Warm Springs and I think Eastern.
Okay. So I got my license.
Real estate school.
Okay. Your dad did?
Dad did. So I went there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I got my license in 2020 or 2000 and it must have been 2001. I think February of 01.
So I have a confession. I went to real estate school when I was 17, like 3 weeks out of high school. I did not pass the test. It took me so long and so many tries to pass the test that I actually had to go back to real estate school. My 90 hours expired.
Well, I mean, it's hard when you're so young. You've never paid rent. You don't understand what a mortgage is. You don't understand how taxes work. I mean, you don't understand, right? Like most of us got licensed. I had never paid $1 in rent my entire life when I became a licensed real estate agent. And so it's like, it's hard to understand some of these practical concepts that you've never even lived yourself.
Also, real estate school, because back then, as you know, we had to physically be present, right? Yeah. You didn't get to online it, which for me was probably a good thing. It was terrible. It is not real estate. And so I never schooled very well anyways.
Yeah.
High school was never my jam. I was friends with my teachers and I would help them with the grade book. That was how I weaseled my way out of actually having to do homework and schoolwork. So going to real estate school and having a big test at the end of it, I didn't do well. It took me, over the course of 2 real estate schools, it took me 7 times to pass my test. So yeah, wow. I think my license finally showed up around sometime in 01. What's your license number?
It's changed since I become a broker. I think it's 48531 or something like that.
Okay. Yeah. I still am 50722, and I will not get my broker's license because I don't want to change my license number.
Yeah. So I was just a few thousand before you, but that's awesome. Yeah. So, but one thing that's really cool is what's funny. So Randy Van Weeken or something like that. Anyways, he was my teacher, he owned it and someone else taught. And I was the student they selected. They pick a student on every class to go like, I think they're going to pass. I think they won't. And I can't remember who bet on me passing and who bet on me not. But I was actually able to pass the test the first time. But what I
You.
love is that you're open about that, because so many people feel like, I mean, if you took the test 7 times and you're highly, highly successful in real estate, I think that's a testament to what we always preach, which is we tell people when they're going to get their license, like, dude, don't even worry if you fail the test. Go take it as a practice. Like, don't even stress about it, because your ability to pass that test has so little to do with your future success in real estate. Oddly enough, similar to the practice of law. Like, I have so many friends that run personal injury law firms and stuff like that. And they're like, dude, I barely graduated law school. I barely passed the bar. And now I make, 8, 9 figures a year, crazy money. And it had nothing to do with my ability to graduate law school or pass the bar, because practical business and uh, the ability to take a test or absorb information in a classroom is 2 completely separate things, right?
Yeah, it is. And I mean, I have had people say, you really shouldn't even be in real estate because it took you that many times. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Um,
Uh,
so
well, what?
I mean, maybe I'm just too stupid and I just kept going. Like, I really truly believe that at some point the law of averages would be on my side. Like,
Yeah,
you can't take this thing forever and fail every single
sure,
time.
sure.
So I
Yeah,
had that going for me. And I also just think it's kind of like a grit thing, right? Like, I was maybe
yeah,
too silly not to even think about not taking it again. But also I look back and I'm like, man, I'm so happy that I didn't listen to other people and I didn't necessarily, like, I knew I would pass at some point, but I
right.
mean, if I had given up, I don't even know what I'd be doing right now. So I kind of use that now that I'm older and I look back, I'm like, if you can take the real estate test 7 times and go to real estate school 9 or 2 times, 180
Yeah,
hours,
yeah,
you can
yeah.
probably get on the phone and lead generate and not die.
Well, I think it's an interesting topic, because when people ask me what I do for a living, it's a really hard thing to answer. And it's become harder in the last couple of years. So if you look at my world now, the vast majority of my time is spent running a nationwide network of agents. We've got, Taylor and I have 3,000 agents in our network at Real. And
Mhm.
so we spend all of our time coaching and mentoring those people, or I do. And then so I would say I'm maybe I'm a coach, right? And then number 2, I'm a marketing guy. Like, we do all of our own lead gen in house. We don't hire Zillow, realtor.com, or whoever. So I'm like a marketing person. Um, and then I'm a real estate investor. And then probably number 4 would be a quote unquote realtor. But it's so hard, because someone asked me, I was in the Dominican Republic. My wife and I went and did a humanitarian trip down there. And there was this
Fun.
kid from Canada, and he's like, hey, what should I do with my life? Like, should I go into real estate? And what I told him is, real estate is such a great industry for an entrepreneur, because you can find a niche. You could be a content creator. You could be a traditional real estate agent. You could become a leasing specialist. You can learn the investment game and get into that. You can learn the marketing game and get into that. You could be a real estate team coach. And it's like, it all falls under this huge umbrella, which is quote unquote the practice of real estate. And every time I apply, so Taylor talked me into applying for a new credit card. We play the points game. And I'm flying my whole entire family first class round trip to Africa for like $6,000 because of points. Anyways,
That's good. That's good.
um, so you go in there and fill all this stuff out, and one of the questions is, what do you do for a living? And I'm like, how do I even answer this question? So when somebody asks you, Julie, what do you do for a living? How do you answer that question? Because it would be
Hmm.
somewhat inaccurate to go, I'm a real estate agent.
Yeah, it actually depends on my audience, right?
Okay.
So if it's a consumer that says, what do you do for a living? I say, I've got a great real estate team and we sell homes. That's what we do for a living.
Yeah. Yeah.
If it's an agent, right? It's, man, I've got a great real estate team and we help agents get to where they want to go so they can do the things they want to do. Right. If it's a team owner, I'm a real estate coach and my main focus is helping real estate teams create predictable, profitable businesses that they actually enjoy going to every day.
Yeah.
So I think for me, it's different depending on the audience. Uh, if it's an agent on the team, like, what do they do? I'm like, man, you're either talking to people about real estate on the phone so you can get face to face with them, or you're face to face with people talking about real estate, right? I
Yeah.
mean, everything I do is in some way, shape, or form real estate related. But to say this is the job, that's difficult, right? So it really just depends.
So it's almost like you and I are the real estate equivalent of a mullet. Hear me out on this.
Yeah,
Like, depending on what angle you see us from, you're like, dude, from the back, Joe's all party, but from the front, he's all business, right? And it is kind of one of those things. I love how you said that, because it's like, if when I go to the gym, which doesn't happen as often as it should, but when I go to the gym and somebody's like, what do you do for a living? I'm like, oh, I'm a real estate agent. But in the industry, when somebody goes like, hey, Joe, what do you do? I'm like, depending on who they are, I might say, well, I'm a lead generation guy. Like, I generate leads for my team. I'm a rainmaker. Or for, if it's another team leader, I'm like, well, I run a nationwide network of teams and brokerages that have come over to real. So it is funny, because it's like, depending on what angle you see us from, you're going to get a different answer to that question. So we love Julie Youngblood because Julie Youngblood is an absolute wizard for us. I remember sitting through one of your trainings, and you were breaking down the anatomy of a CRM on a real estate team, and like uncaptured opportunities and wasted, leads and things like that. So I'm obsessed with the word triage. Unfortunately, I've gone to the urgent care before, because I'm like, hey, I have a stomach ache. And they're like, well, do you have this and this? And I'm like, well, so it's like they triage you, right? They look at when you go to a doctor, they're like, well, okay, your knee's bothering you, but what have you done? What medications are you on, right?
Mhm.
How does Julie Youngblood, when you first get working with a team, I think you probably go through a triage process and try to evaluate, are they capitalizing on their opportunities? Are they, I would imagine, making enough calls? Like, what is some of your keys to evaluating a real estate team when you come in and go, let me triage these guys? What are some of the things you look for as key indicators of success, or missed opportunities, or maybe where they're failing?
Yeah, that's a big question. So there's
Mm-hmm.
really a few different areas that every team could focus on, and if you focused on any one of them, you'd be all right. And this, by the way, I'm talking team, but teams are made up of agents, right? And so
Mm,
these concepts also apply to agents.
right.
So first thing, I mean, I love looking at the CRM. I mean, you and I were around before the internet was around for real estate, right? I mean, you used to have
Yeah.
listings and signs in the yards to get buyer leads. And then, as you know, things changed and you could buy leads. And so even people who had never sold a home before could start a real estate team and buy leads and feed these people. My point here is that there are so many leads or people living in CRMs that are not being serviced, that is often the first place that we can go get a pretty quick win for a team.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
I like looking at the CRM, because bottom line is, this business is a contact sport. Not to sound cliche, nobody is going to register on your website or show up at your office and beg you to sell them a home, right? So there's all kinds of studies on conversion. The bottom line is that as a profession, we have got to get our heads wrapped around the fact that my job is to make as many calls as I can, and with a little bit of voodoo magic luck, be calling at the right time to the right person, right? So the first thing I like to do is I look in the CRM and I'm like, how many people just haven't been called in the last 90 days? It's almost everybody, every time.
Well, so what are some of the methods, or like, I am thoroughly convinced that the vast majority, so it could be 51%, it could be like 90% of
Mhm.
real estate practitioners did not get into this business to work the way they need to work to be successful. There's always outliers, right? There's always the guy whose wife runs the school board and gets every new teacher application and sends them to her husband, and her husband sells them houses. Like, that's just such an outlier. If you have that type of competitive advantage, good on you, right? But 98% of agents have to work in a very specific way to achieve their success. We go to real estate events, and there's always fugazis, right? Like fake. I'm not saying people are being dishonest, but I'm just saying, like, a lot of times that guy up on stage who's like, to be honest with you guys, I post 3 reels a week and I get 27 incoming inquiries and I sell 100 homes a year. And you're like, dude, you're not real. That's not a real way to do business. Because
Mhm.
what you said is the way agents need to be thinking if they want to experience success.
Right.
So how do you get people's mind to accept that? Like,
Well, I call this is the HGTV effect, right? This is, oh, wait, hold on. Or I found my house myself, so real estate must be easy.
yeah,
Right? That's like,
yeah,
I think that's what we're experiencing in the industry right now. So one of the first things that I do with the new agent is I just break it down. Like, look, it's probably not what you think. Tell me what you think you're getting into. Let's start there. And you know this, Joe, because you run a big team. A lot of these agents think that they're going to join your team and you're just going to hand them transactions. Sorry, but not for a split. That's too expensive as a business owner. I'll pay someone a salary to go hand transactions to, right? If I'm thinking
right,
like a business owner.
right.
So I think that the internet and the availability of information and white cabinets with gray countertops and showing homes in stiletto heels has kind of been misleading for the market. So the first thing I do is I say, what do you think you're getting into? Because I promise you it's not that. And then I walk them through, this is exactly what we do to be successful and create predictability. Are there other things you can do for fun? Social media, you can do that for fun. And to your point, are there people that have built a business on it? Yeah, I just talked to a girl this morning and I asked her, how long did it take you before you got your first lead on social media? It took her 3 months. And then
Hmm.
it took her 6 months before she got paid. And so while she looks amazing on social media, most people can't wait 6 months to get paid. And by the way, it's not predictable. We also don't know if she ran the same playbook again in today's market, if she'd get the same results, right? And so we go with what works, which is I wake up in the morning, I get to the office by 8, by 8:30, from 8:30 to 9, I'm getting better at my job, right? I'm practicing my scripts. If you don't like scripts, get out of the business.
We had uh we had Ben on yesterday, and so my favorite phrase from the Declaration of Independence, which is a weird place to take this, but anyways, the the founding fathers, really Thomas Jefferson for the most part wrote the Declaration of Independence with the help of Ben Franklin. And the phrase that's in there that always sticks out to me is, we hold these truths to be self-evident. And like the most powerful truths in the world are self-evident truth. They're gravitational. It's like, if you drop this, it will fall. You hear things and you're like, dude, that's just so gravitationally true. Here's what Ben said. If people would work real estate the way they would work Starbucks, they would quadruple what they could ever make at Starbucks. But the plague of our industry is, I want to work less and make more.
Right.
It's like, it's so hard to fight that battle, because it's like, you can achieve all of your financial dreams in real estate,
Mm-hmm.
but it is impossible and it's illogical to say, I'm leaving my 9 to 5 to go into real estate to make 4 times what I made in my 9 to 5. Okay, I'm
Mm-hmm.
in. But I no longer want to work 9 to 5. Okay, I'm
Right.
out. It's like, it's
Hey, this is what I say. I say, look, people get into real estate for two reasons: freedom and money. Okay. They take advantage of the freedom and then they get out of real estate because they didn't make the money.
mm,
Right. So we've got to do a better job talking about what it is we do, right? Which is like, I've been doing this a while. I still practice my scripts in the morning. I still practice the words I'm going to say. I still read my affirmations every day. Why?
yeah,
Because it gives me an edge. It makes me better than my competition. And I know it matters to the clients.
yeah,
It's really nice when I know what to say and I can guide them. What else do I do? Well, we get on the phone, right? For us, the telephone is the fastest way to connect with the most amount of people, right? So we're talking to people for 2 hours every morning. It's cold calling. It's on a dialer. It's not the funnest thing you'll do all day. We get hung up on. We get told to F word off, right? We get all the stuff. But it's like that's what you do when you're digging for gold. You get dirty,
how
right? We
much
know that go ahead.
oh, I was just going to say, how excited are you, somebody who practices the work and then teaches the work and then holds people accountable to the work. There has to be part of you that is excited to know that we are involved in such a lazy industry. Because if there's 20,000 real estate professionals in the state of Nevada, there's 2 million in North America, and the vast majority are allergic to the work. And so they're like, you have to know waking up every day, you have a competitive advantage because you're not afraid to get on the phone. You have to know that the people that take your mentorship and coaching, who are also not afraid to get on the phone, it's almost like you have a cheat code. You're like, hey, listen, we're going to do what no one else is willing to do, and we're going to get what no one else is able to get. Is that exciting for you?
Well, it is, because, and I want to be really clear, we're all afraid to get on the phone. Like, don't think that if you said, okay, Julie, you're calling FSBOs right now, I'd be like, oh, I still get that energy. By the way, for me, that energy, like that's, hey, Julie, you're doing the right thing. You're doing that energy will get somebody else to go home. That energy keeps somebody else on the couch, but that energy is your trigger to go. So we're all nervous. Do I feel like I've got an edge? I mean, yeah, here's the deal. Real estate is hyper predictable. Everybody says, how can you do it? You work for commission only. How do you do it? I'm like, I don't know. How do you wait for a paycheck every 2 weeks? That seems crazy to me. Like, I can get paid every day if I want, if I know my numbers and I do the work and I execute. So it's not magic, it's math, right?
Yeah.
Real estate isn't magic, it's math. So figure out your numbers, which you can only do by doing an insane amount of numbers, and then decide, do I want to keep doing that level of numbers for the conversion I've got? Or am I going to keep that up and increase my skill set? So maybe in a year from now, I don't have to be on the phone for 4 hours. I can do what I did in 4 hours in 2 hours.
Right.
It's a game. Like, this business is a fun game if you make it that way. If the goal is, how can I convert faster and most efficiently, and I'm just looking to figure that out as quickly as possible, it becomes more exciting. It becomes less transactional. Those happen because that's how we get paid.
Right.
But now you're really starting to work on yourself and work on a business. And now you've got something duplicatable. So if you ever did want to start a team, you've got the roadmap. It's just,
so
it's
what
just
are some of the, yeah. So what are some of the and I love what I'm a math guy. It was the only subject I was good at in school, to be honest. What is your advice to team leaders when looking to hire agents? Like, what are some of the red flags? Like, right. So I'm sadly in this position in life. I'm now 44, where like almost more than half of my friends are getting divorced and getting back into the dating scene. And it's just crazy. And so it's always like, well, okay, cool. What are we going to do to make sure that we don't end up in this situation in 10 years? Like, what are we looking for now? Yeah. And I think very similar, anyone who's ran a team has been through iterations. Like, I think the Joe Taylor Group, we probably had in 15 years of running our team, we probably had 400 agents affiliate with us. Wow. And it's like, wow, that was a great hire. That was a bad hire. They crushed it. They didn't crush it. They crushed it, and we didn't know how to control their fire. And so and it's like, dude, you just, anyone that runs a team, it's like, it's gonna, I hate to say revolving door, but you're going to get people who, you're going to get a few lifers. We've had a couple of agents that have been on our team for 15 years. And you're going to get some who come in and flash in the pan and leave. So what is your advice as far as attracting team members? What should team leaders be looking for, longevity wise, production wise? Like, what are some of the personas they should be looking for?
I love this question because first of all, I think it's different for everybody. And I think you have to be in tune with it. So by the way, CRM is one area we focus on, but recruiting almost is always another huge area when we're working with teams. Right? Because number one, there should be a turnover rate. Any team with standards will have a turnover rate. Right. That's just the bottom line. So what do I look for? What do I encourage operators or team leaders to really put together is make an avatar, right? You've got some cultural deal breakers and you've got some personality deal breakers in your world, right? There are certain things that when you're meeting with someone, you just can't test for, right? When I say to Joe, what do you want in an agent? You say, I want them to be trustworthy and hard workers, and I want them to show up, and I want them to be honest, right? And I'm like, that's fine and dandy. You find all that stuff out later, right? So step number one is, what are some major deal breakers that if this happened, it wouldn't be a good fit for your world, right? So, and you've got to construct questions around that. So one of my favorite questions is, Joe, this crazy question. How long could you last in real estate without getting a paycheck before you had to go get a job? Why do I ask that? Because if it's 30 days, if I'm just being honest, I can get them a deal in 30 days, but I can't get them paid. And what I don't want to do is pour into somebody that goes and gets a job. For me personally, that doesn't work, right? So I think you've got to come up with what are some of your deal breakers, and then you ask questions around that to discover if this person is going to be a good fit for your world. This is going to sound nuts too. For us, everybody on our team does physical fitness. They work out in some way, shape, or form. It's a core value. It's important to our conversations. And so that's a question. So Joe, what do you do for health and wellness every day? Oh, I don't really do anything. Oh, that's crazy. I just know you're not going to fit in. It's just as much my job to make sure you're a good fit for my team as it is for me to make sure that when you're part of the team, it's an environment that you can also succeed in, right? I have made the mistake of bringing people in who were not a fit, but I felt like, oh, I could really help them. My environment didn't support them, and I wasted people's times, and I have to own that. That's irresponsible and reckless, right? So for me, creating your avatar it's an early avatar. What are some things that have to be true in order for this person to have the highest level for an opportunity of success on the team?
Right.
Okay. And then,
go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say,
no.
For us, we want people to shadow us. So we invite them into our morning huddle, and then we invite them to watch us do the hardest part of our job, which is get on the phone and get our butts kicked. Right. And if we always do shadows on the same day, if the people are still around, I bring them into the office and I do like a group interview for new agents, and I'm going to walk them through the job description. So could you imagine yourself doing what you just saw our guys doing? Okay, great. Let me walk you through what our day looks like. And if you can see yourself being successful in that, then this could be a good fit. And I tell them, we got 200 people in our sphere of influence. It's our number one source of business. We've got an incredible system that's going to not only change the mind of the people in your sphere that all think you're a bartender or a school teacher, but you're going to be top of mind with those people. So when real estate happens around them, your name comes out of their mouth. Number two, we do open houses. We do 2 a week. We dial a minimum of 100 calls around every open house. So we door knock 50 doors. Right. And then number 3 is we phone prospect. We're calling FSBOs, we're calling expireds, we're circle prospecting. We call 1,000 people every single week. This is our job description. And on our team, when you do the job, you're going to do 1 or 2 deals a month. And when you do your job, you get to be part of our business. What's our business? Agent referrals, internet leads, past clients, old database. Like there's a whole bunch of other stuff that goes on the other side. But we're just really clear about, can you see yourself doing this? And then, Joe, we have standards around it. That's just it. And so know what your job description is. Remember that people, whether they join your team or not, there is a job to do in real estate. You will talk to strangers and you will talk to people you know. Whether you're on the team or not, those things have to happen. The challenge with teams, and this is because the internet has made it easy for us to start teams, is that we do this too many leads to handle thing. And so we're attracting people who want to just work leads, therefore not do their job.
Yeah.
But that's not what the team does. The team gets you into a position to get in the fast lane, to get dollar productive right away so that you can get paid in 30 or 45 days. If you're a solo agent on your own, brand new, sorry, but you probably do need to learn the CRM. You probably do need to develop a listing presentation before you call a seller. The beauty of our teams is that you don't need to do that. Get on the phone today. Here's what you say. You're only going to get better. Holy smokes. You set a listing appointment today, a $12,000 opportunity, and it's your first day on the job. Let's go. Let's get paid. Right? So the point here is, you got to know what it takes to go be successful. And you've got to be, as a leader, you've got to be willing to have that conversation over and over and over again. So what does your accountability look like? Back to the Starbucks thing, right? What Ben said. If I show up to my Starbucks job, I don't just say, you know what, I'm not going to stock the straws today. I don't feel like filling up the coffee beans. Okay, well, if I have that attitude, what does my manager do? They're like, hey, Julie, if you do those things, you don't get the shift. Well, no, but I do want to make coffees. Well, no, I do want the tips. Okay, well, do your side work. It's part of the job, right? And so real estate isn't like a buffet. You gotta do it all.
Yeah.
And we just don't do a good job as leaders making it crystal clear so that people see the path, the predictable path. You've made 100K in real estate, Joe. You can certainly tell somebody else how to do it and then just hold them accountable to it.
Yeah.
I
I
will step
think
off
what
my
you
soapbox now. Let me step off my soapbox.
I think what you said is so brilliant. We as leaders have to be able to separate the job from the results. And I think I've been as guilty as anyone of making the job sound like it's closing transactions. And it's clearer now than ever that the job is actually all the work you do every single day, and the results is some closed transactions. I like, almost thinking of that as the tip or the paycheck. It's like
Mhm.
you can't just show up every day going, "Where's my paycheck?" every day and think that you're going to be successful. You have to show up and go, "I'm going to do my job," which is make like dial people, have conversations, set appointments, go on
Mhm.
those appointments, and learn how to close deals. And if I'm not willing to do that job, and I'm only joining a team or a brokerage or a whatever to say I want to take what was 11 paychecks and turn it into 20 paychecks. If you're so obsessed on the paycheck, but not obsessed on making sure you do your job, you're going to be frustrated. You're going to be really hard to lead. The other thing that Ben said that I thought was so good, and we can kind of end on this, and then I want to have you share your contact information because I think a lot of team leaders specifically that hear this are going to want to get in contact with you. Ben just basically talked about the fact that if we are not willing, like I cannot evaluate myself as a team leader effectively if I don't have people that are ready, willing, and able to receive my leadership. Like I can be the best leader in the world, leading unready, unwilling, and unable agents, and I will feel like a terrible team leader. Because if I don't have people that are it's funny, we talk about home buyers being ready, willing, and able. We never talk about agents being ready, willing, and able. But if I'm a leader and I have people who are ready, willing, and able to be led, that's when I can evaluate myself as a team leader. So it's almost like before I beat myself up as a leader, I have to make sure I've appropriately evaluated the agents that I'm leading on those three things. Are they ready to do the work? Are they willing to show up and do what it takes? And are they able to hold conversations and improve on their conversion and things like that? Because if not, I may feel like the worst leader. I mean, imagine a hawk teaching a bunch of, whales how to fly. Like it would just never work. So,
Right.
anyways, Julie, I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for your insight. How do people get in touch with Julie Youngblood? Because I know you do a lot of coaching, a lot of mentoring. Like what's the best method to get a hold of you?
So probably my phone. I answer my phone when if I'm not on it. It's my phone number is 702-234-8181.
Okay,
And you can also
easy.
send me an email, Julie@NV, like Nevada, househunt.com. Those are probably the best ways to get a
Awesome.
hold of me.
Well, guys, listen, if you're looking for a coach of coaches, if you're looking for someone as a team leader, like I know our people are having side calls with Julie, off the record, just saying like, hey, what do we do? What do we do here and there? And she's so good at triage. She's so good at looking at what you're doing, why it's not working, and the ways that you can get it working. Reach out to Julie, hit her up. Like being a team leader is they say that the loneliest job in sports is a pitcher standing on a pitching mound. The whole world is watching you. I think the loneliest job in real estate is that of a team leader. And people like Julie are there to make sure that you get the support, you get the guidance, and you get the advice that you need to become the best team leader you possibly can. I cannot endorse her enough. Like Julie is awesome, and we're grateful to have her in our world. So Julie, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.